Om Natam Vidhata Yaima Jana Anyat Yushmakam Antaram Babhuva Niharena Avrita Jalpya Cha Asukripa Uktasha Sahacharanti. Mantra from the Rig Veda. One of the most profound mantras that I've come across. First, let me say that our daughter Priya, thank you for joining in chanting, and I hope that it gets better and you get more engaged, and other youths can do that. And it's nice to see Vijay, Ajay, Sharmila, my bhaiji, my behenji. Good to see you here. Before I go on, I'd like to remind you that, our Sammelan is coming up. It's in July 19th. I don't know how many of you have thought and planned, but if you could, it would be great for you to attend. So this mantra is so profound. It tells us, the first half of this mantra tells us that the creator of the cosmos, God, that divine energy exists closest within your own hearts. The second half tells us that those who grope in vain in the darkness of ignorance. And we'll go through these 4 points. There's 4 very, very important points that this mantra specifies. So, before we get to that, we all heard that we should be humble. What is this humility? Why should we be humble? Why is it that we look upon these great saints, the great teachers, some of our advanced Pandits, our Swamis, our Gurujis, we look at them and they are so humble. So what is this requirement for humility? Why is that? What is it? But so many, when you think about it, so many mantras tells us about conquering this ego of ours. Many, many shlokas in Bhagavad Gita tells us, conquer this ego. Conquer this ego. Don't feed it. So this mantra, Natam vidhata yaima jachana anyat yushmakam antaram babhuva. God exists closest within our own hearts. Niharena pravrita jarapya cha asutripa ukta shasaha charanti. Charanti means wander. You wander here and there like. So the first part of this mantra we talked about. God is within our own hearts. We don't need to go all over the place looking for this God someplace else. The first point, we must acknowledge this presence of God, yes. Niharena. Avrita means being covered. Those who are covered in darkness. Or we should say, those who choose to be covered by darkness, because it is our choice whether we stay covered with darkness or we enlighten ourselves. So let's say that those who choose to stay covered in darkness, they will charanti, wander here and there, and they will not find the presence of God. How important is that? So, my fellow souls, let us enlighten ourselves. Not just chant the mantra, understand what it means and live what mantra tells us to do. So, this mantra, that's the first point. The other one now is jalpya, means talkative. It means those people who can't shut up. We all know people like that just won't stop talking. Not children, it's okay. But what's bad about that? See, to meditate, we turn the thoughts inwards. To introspect, we inspect our own selves, we go within. But you see, the person who's always talking cannot find peace within, because to find peace within, first we have to find peace outside. We have to bring the body at peace. This is why we do it, but I don't so encourage all the motions that we go through. Because we can do all of that, but it takes away from peace of the body, which is what we're trying to achieve. So instead of engaging in all of these motions, close the eyes and think of the motions, think of the things. Let the body find its own peace. When the body finds peace, now we can turn inward, and now we can let the vibration of mantras bring peace in the mind. So, the person who's always talking and cannot stop talking, they will charanti, they will wander here and there, for they will not find the presence of God. The next one is asutripaha, absorbed in eating and indulging in this stuff around you, in fulfilling all of these desires. They love to eat, they love to drink, they love to engage in all the materialistic things. You see, this body is our temple of God. Jiva Atma, our soul, resides in this body. When we are granted this body, we also give a commitment that, oh God, you've granted us this wonderful gift. We will take care of this body. And I've often asked this question here. If your dad gives you this brand new, beautiful, expensive car, free, and he says, son, here. And if you do not take care of it, do you think he'll want to give you another one? No. That's exactly what we're going through. If we want to feed all kind of stuff, nasty, bad things that aren't good for us to this body, if we want to drink all the things and smoke all the things that's not good for this body, why would God give us another body? So those of us who choose to indulge in all of those kind of things, they too will charanti, wander here and there, because they will not find the presence of God. And finally, the fourth point, and to me the most interesting and the most important point. Ukta shasaha. Those who make a show of being eloquent. Those who want they're glorified in their own self-importance. If you don't call their name, they get upset. If you don't acknowledge their presence, they're insulted. Those people who are engaged in feeding of their egos day in and day out, those people too will wander here and there, and they will not find, they will wander charanti, they will not find the presence of God, because they have not focused on conquering the ego, which bring you closer to that divine one. Very, very important points that we ought to practice in our everyday lives. So, this humility we talked about. Why is it we seek to be humble? What is this humility? You know, we have so many cases where leaders among us, we fail to lead by example. And we do a pravachan, or we conduct a service or a yajna, and it's all about me. It's all about putting on a grand show. how does that relate to the spiritual progress, to not feeding the ego? So we have to look upon ourselves and say, if I come to Mandir and I don't have to come up and say something. It's okay, I come to Mandir. And if you don't call on me to say something, I shouldn't be insulted. If I do, I'm feeding my ego. We have to look upon ourselves, introspect, and understand, where am I? What am I doing? Am I going to Mandir just to have my name called? So you see, these two people who are doing these things, they will wander here and there. They will not find the presence of God within. So, there's this verse, there's a shloka from Bhagavad Gita. I think I've used this before. I've said this, I read this to you. Vihaya kamanya sarvan pumams charati nispriha nirmama nirahankara sa shantim adhigacchati. The shloka teaches about two key ways to find peace. It says that after giving up, all material desires for gratifying of the senses, a person who lives a life that is not controlled by desires, that person who don't feel like this is mine, everything is me, that person who do not feed his ego, that person adhigacchati attains shantim, perfect peace, divine peace. That person finds peace. So these shlokas, again, we not only read, and by the way, when I use these shlokas, if somebody wants and email me or something, I'll send you the shlokas and the mantras I use. So I'm sure you'll get my email or phone or what, I'll send them to you. There's this bhajan you often say, I hear here. Phoolo se tum hasna seekho, bhaur se tum gaana, सूरज की किरणों से सीखो जगना और जगाना जगना और जगाना. And you know what that other verse? That verse that goes to वृक्षों की डाली से सीखो फल पाकर झुक जाना, मेहंदी के पत्तों से सीखो पिस पिस रंग चढ़ाना. That tree, you heard this so many times, but we hear it. Do we act upon it? The limbs of the trees laden with fruits bends downward to give. Do we give ourselves selflessly? The mehendi, the more you grind it, the more color it gives. The more pressure that I feel from people, and the more, no, I should feel, no, I'll give more of myself. This is my duty. Done in many cultures, bowing in all different forms to show humility. We come here, we bow to the ultimate King, God. Show humility. How about if we only bow, but we're not humble in our hearts? Does that count? We wear kishti in an effort to show humility, but if I wear that and I'm not humble in my heart, if I'm not humble by my words, and I do not behave in a humble manner, does it matter if I wear a kishti? It doesn't matter. We say namaste and we bow, a sign of humility, but if I'm not humble in my heart, does it matter? So we have to think about all of these. So what is this humility? To answer these questions, let's look at the opposite of humility. Let us look at what humility is not. Do you like those who are arrogant? The person who's always a know-it-all, they always have to have the last word. Most of us can't stand people like that. We don't have the patience for it. Do you know those who are pompous and rude and extravagant? Those who like to boast and show off what they have and cannot shut up about the positions they have at work? Do you like those who are selfish, who only think about themselves? And their answer is always the right answer? I hear a lot of giggles. I guess we all know people like that. There's a reason why it's hard to tolerate that kind of behavior, because in our own moral sense and our reason, we know it's not right, it's not acceptable. Our own inner moral code that we are born with tells us that it's not right. We don't have to read it from the Bhagavad Gita or the Vedas or any other scripture. Our heart tells us it's not right. Yet we do it consistently, some of us, to feed that very same ego. But we are drawn to the humble person, are we not? We're drawn to that person and we feel a sense of connection and an unexplainable bond to the person who's quiet and who's humble. We feel sort of oneness with them. Because deep in our hearts, our own intuition tells us that we ought to become humble before we can understand our place in this God's universe. Humility comes first. So, in our spiritual journey to achieve oneness with our God, Swami Vedabharati, our Guruji, tells us to find that oneness with nature. You've heard me say this many times, and oneness with everyone around you. Meaning that you're a part of me as I am a part of you. I can only practice universal love if I'm humble in its true sense, from my heart, in my mind, the very depths of my being, if I feel that kind of humility. So, humility is not just covering the head. It is not being arrogant at heart. Humility is not telling you how humble I am, but with my words, I show otherwise. Humility is not bowing to you in namaste, yet arrogantly putting you down and spreading gossip about you. That is not humility. Humility is not cleaning up my language and being nice in Mandir on Sunday, and then being a foul-mouthed person outside of Mandir. That is not humility. That is just being hypocritical. The true humility is thinking humble and loving thoughts, saying loving and kind words, and performing selfless acts to others. That is what humility is. I cannot develop a humble mind and yet work constantly to put down others. See, we all know someone who speaks sugary words and their actions are that of vinegar. We all know those. We all know those who come to Mandir in a show of piousness, yet go back to self-destroying ways after this. We all know others who put on this show of piousness and go and backbite them, pull others down. But you know, my fellow souls, we have to think about it like this. Let's not think ill of them. They're also great teachers of ours. They're showing us what not to think, what not to say, what not to do. They're great teachers of ours. They're showing us what not to do by living it. So we bow to them too and we say, oh God, take care of them too. You see, real humility comes from that sattvic state of mind, that peaceful state of mind. This is why I think on our spiritual journey, as somebody gets farther ahead in their spiritual journey, we naturally see them take on, they're being more humble, they're being kinder, they're being softer, their words are more endearing. Because on this spiritual journey, that's where we all ought to be. So before we close, a couple of things we must consider regarding humility. We must understand that we live in a society, and this is very important, especially for us, younger ones. Us younger ones, right? You see, in this society, humility is sometimes mistaken for a weakness. But no, you've often heard me say this too. We are children of warriors. Being humble and speaking and living and talking peace does not make me weak. And sometimes in society, we need to reaffirm this, especially this society. This story tells a little balance. There was a snake that lived in a hole at the entrance of a village. Everyone used to be very afraid of this snake. Parents were worried for the children, and everybody stayed away. So the parents of the children went to this hermit, like this saint in the village, and asked that, can you do something about this? So the hermit passed by and says, listen, behave yourself. Don't live your life, leave them alone, don't bite nobody. So snake decided to be good. After that, when the children in the village realize that this snake is harmless, they start hitting him with rocks, hitting him with sticks, pulling its tail, making his life hell. So the snake went to the hermit and said, well, you asked me to be good, and I'm being good, and all of a sudden everybody's being bad. They think I'm so weak and I'm defenseless. The hermit turned to him and says, well, I asked you not to bite. I didn't tell you not to hiss. See, that story goes a long way to telling we are born of warriors. Aryans, we're descendant of warriors. We have to be ready to be able to defend our daughters and our mothers and our sisters and our wives and our families and our Vedic values when it becomes necessary. So being this humble and nice and peaceful shouldn't make us weak. So, my fellow souls, today, I ask you to let us think about leading a life in a way that sets us apart from the rest of society. Live an Aryan life, a noble life that others see you as being noble. And I've often said this, that when people see you, they're proud and they say, oh, that person goes to our mandir. We're proud of that. Be that kind of person, that we lead by example. Let us work on truly being humble from our hearts, that in our presence, others do not feel threatened, but they feel at peace. That in our presence, they do not feel ignored, but they feel cared for and they feel loved. That they do not feel spiritually lost in our presence, but they feel a clear, conscious, and divine presence when they're with us. This is what I pray for, and I hope that all of us can achieve that. And that we find in our hearts true humility in our spiritual journey. I thank all of you for being kind, patient, and listening to me this morning. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. With love and humility in my heart, I say namaste to each and every one of you. Namaste.